All right. So I think we're gonna get rolling just with kind of introductions, if that's okay, if everybody's ready to go. Um, so uh, just it's great to have so many people here tonight. We've really been working on building the Centercourt 360 model, providing academic, social emotional support for students. We think it's a huge just area of need and something that we can really help with, not just academic elements, but also things like we're doing today, whether it's recruiting, leadership, and really just kind of the whole student model. There's a lot of people that we have involved in this that I'm very proud to be with. I'm excited just to talk to Tony and Stephen today about just some of these issues, regarding recruiting, regarding social media. They're two really just bright, involved people that work this every day. So that's kind of our commitment, is just to bring great people and make them accessible to the Centercourt family. So these are some programs that we have that are available through the Centercourt Academy website. If you go to the little 360 tab, also in some of the emails that I'm sure everybody has been getting. So Stephen is running a series about public speaking that's been awesome and really well attended. I've been running a series about social media and sort of building out a social media profile for students, and Tony's been working directly with college recruitment and athletics. So if this is something that sounds good to you and you have some takeaways here and you want to learn more, I think these are some vehicles for you to think about going forward here. So with that, just wanted to start just talking about introducing ourselves, just talking about who we are and what we want to talk about. So my name is Robb Flynn. I'm a technology integration specialist at Del Barton School. I've been there for 13 years. I have a master's in computing education from Columbia, and I work a lot at schools and at our school with developing digital citizenship, developing social media awareness with kids. I'm also an English teacher. I'm also a football coach. So this is something that I work with kids all the time. And I'm excited to be here and kind of give my perspective just as an educator in working with, from seventh graders all the way through 12th graders and how we prepare our young people through some of this. So I'll just kick it off to Stephen and kind of talk about yourself and what brings you here and what we're going to talk about today. So.
Hey guys, awesome. Thanks, Rob. My name is Stephen Bianco, everyone. I do social media for a living. So hopefully if you have any questions and comments, you can chat it up, or you can always DM me at Stephen Bianco. If you have any additional questions regarding your social media thoughts and needs, just talking to one of you on DM now to get you signed up for today's event. So you can see how powerful social media is. And as a firm believer of it, I've been around it for quite some while. Quick little story of how I got involved with social media. You can look at me as one of those old guys, but I've been involved in social media because I did something wrong. I did something really bad, but I'll confess that I stole someone's email address who was attending Columbia University. And that enabled me to get on Facebook when Facebook was only allowed for college students, and it was still only within the Ivy Leagues, pretty much. And I was able to get on Facebook because I saw this as an amazing way to communicate with people, because at that time I was training athletes on sports performance. And when they would leave, cell phones weren't that big as they are now, and texting, and all of a sudden this way of talking to them came out, and it was the Facebook. And I saw that. I put my business logo on there. And that's how I would talk to a lot of the young athletes I was training that were going to some of the Ivy League schools. I would communicate and send them workouts and check up on them, and it was through Facebook. So when I speak of social media, I speak of it from some of the beginning natures of it, but I'm obviously a big fan of it, but especially a big fan for where it's going today for you guys as young, whether you're finishing up middle school or you're in high school now, and how it pertains to the way you're perceived and the way you're seen by college coaches and recruiters. And we'll kind of tap into that in a little bit, because I personally believe, and take it with however you want, but I do this every single day with sports companies, health companies, wellness companies. I think the way coaches are going to look at you in the future is completely by your social media profiles. And hopefully today we can kind of exchange some back and forths of how to maybe do that right. And so I love to get as much information to you guys as you possibly can, because these courses at 360 are all about getting you a little bit of a head start. You guys are all high performers, or you want to be a high performer. If you're on a Zoom call right now at 7:30 at night, when you've been on calls all day for school, you know what? You've got a little something extra in you right now that says, hey, I want to do something special. And at 360, we want to sort of pull that all together, because as coaches and former athletes, I was a Division I athlete. I was a former high school coach in track and field. So I understand that market as well. And I know that, and Coach Mcgowan can say this, and Coach Flynn can say this as well, that it's 80% mental and 20% physical that's going to get you to the next level in sports. And what 360 does, that it pulls all that together for you guys, so you can be extremely well-rounded and up your chances of the opportunities that you would like to have of doing really well in high school sports, and hopefully going on to college, and for some of you going further than that. So it's great to be on today. Look forward to chatting with you guys about how you can make your social media presence a lot stronger to help you get recruited.
Awesome. It's like, as Steven said, I don't know if anybody watched the Jordan documentary. I think everybody's watched it in the last, but what a mentally tough, every intangible that Michael Jordan had and comes out, in that documentary as Steven's talking. And it really is like, I think a lot of those intangibles that make it, that college coaches are looking for. Tony, I know you talk about that a lot, and we look for that with our athletes, at our school. But maybe just a little background on you for some of the people who don't know you through the program, and why you're here and all that stuff. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Rob and Steven. Thank you for that great introduction. And this is such an important topic to me, because I had to change my way of thinking and my thought process behind social media. As an athlete in high school, I wasn't on social media. Facebook was kind of new to us, but it wasn't really hip. If you want to call MySpace was the thing, and I really wasn't into MySpace. My parents did a great job of telling me how important my name was, my family name was, and I didn't want to ever put our family name at risk by liking something or communicating with someone that was ill-intended. It had ill intentions for myself or my family. It wasn't until college, where I was playing baseball at LaSalle University, and it was my junior year on a bus trip down to Duke, where my teammates actually created a Twitter handle for me. They asked me, hey, Tony, we noticed that over the winter you didn't create a Twitter handle. I said, guys, that's not my style. They said, no, you got to check it out. And what I found was, on Twitter during that season, 2011, a lot of college programs started getting on, specifically baseball programs, and they were announcing their weekend starters. They were announcing their midweek starters. They were announcing their, lineups beforehand. So we were actually doing a little bit of a scouting report on the bus headed down to Duke for our opening weekend. And most of you know who Marcus Stroman was. Marcus Stroman is a pitcher for the New York Mets right now in the major leagues, and he was slated to pitch that Saturday game for us, for them, I should say. And we were going against him. We knew he was a draft pick, and so we were getting videos on the bus of him. And Twitter kind of opened my eyes as an athlete to the world outside of LaSalle and outside of LaSalle baseball. And it was something that ever since then, my Twitter it's been great. It's been great to me. And I've seen the evolution of social media from Twitter to now Instagram, where, as Steven alluded to, everyone's on. The number of direct messages that I get from college coaches, on a weekly basis is just tremendous, whether it's about a swing of my catcher or the arm slot of my left-handed pitcher. This is what's going on, and this is why I'm here. I just want to kind of inform everyone that your social media presence, specifically through video and footage, is being watched. Don't think that it's just being viewed by your peers. There are coaches outside of your immediate network or friends on social media that can see you, and they will find you. So that's why I'm here, Rob, and I'm just hoping to impart some knowledge on everyone here today.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure all these young guys are like, you're talking here about Twitter. I mean, like, Twitter was 6 years ago. You guys are old. What do you, what do you, right? So I think a good time to kind of transition into some of the nuts and bolts, that, Tony, maybe a little bit more just like, look, I'm not a baseball coach. I'm a football coach. I know that when college coaches come into our school and they want to recruit our kids, they say, do you have a Twitter account? Okay, if you don't have a Twitter account, I can't recruit you, because that is how recruiting is done in our sport. It's through the direct messages and through all that stuff. So that's like a huge part of my deal with those kids. But when you talk to your Rebels players, like in terms of creating video, is it through Instagram? Is it like, what specifically social media tools? What do you recommend kids use? How do they use it? Like, what are some details that?
Right. So Rob, the way that I describe it to our players is that a college coach only has 30 seconds of his time to give you. So let's make something effective, and let's make something quick. And I'm sure Steven has mentioned this time and again, the power of the iPhone is remarkable today. And everyone has, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, on their phone. It's an immediate, I'm going to take a video. Do I like it or not? I do. Okay, I'm going to upload it. I don't like it, I'm going to delete it. And what I tell my athletes is, if you like it, let's upload it right away so it doesn't go by the wayside. And you need to upload it to Instagram and to Twitter. And then, in addition, you should send it to me so that our club program's handle can also tweet it from Twitter and Instagram, because recently Instagram and Twitter can record views. So, for example, last week, we tweeted and shot a video of one of our catchers on Instagram. It got 600 views. I don't think our program has barely 600 followers because we're new to Instagram. So obviously it's getting out there to more of a indirect audience. So we're telling our players, post it to their Twitters, post it to your Instagrams, make sure that you are not using words that don't make sense. So do not say, oh, this is a great swing. Just post a video. That's it. That's all it takes. You don't need words.
It's the eyeball test, right? Like, I mean, you've coached for a long time. You can see one kid, but I think there's we talk to our kids about with football, like, so the highlight video is really big with football, and putting your clips together, and like, don't hide your best talent. Like you said, college coaches, have 30 seconds. So make sure that the content that you have, whether it's that's really positive, is up at the front as much as you can, because they can go to the next person as well, in a short period of time too. Right. Steven, do you have any thoughts about like what, you're in this social media world, like what specific tools do you think are really valuable for kids that they should be using? What do you think?
Definitely. So let's classify the social media verticals or tunnels or resources. So the way I want you guys to look at Twitter is that Twitter is your news feed. Okay, it's a feed that you just pop information out to. Yeah. Twitter is huge right now in the world of, that's what all the reporters read. All right, so it's a quick bite to find out quick information, and now what am I going to do with that? So please announce to me that you just won the state championship. Announce that you hit a grand slam. Announce that you ran for 200 yards. Announce that you got a 9.8 in gymnastics. Announce that you pitched, you threw 11 strikeouts in softball. Announce that you reached the finals of the Orange Bowl in tennis. Those quick announcements are really important because people who may want to follow you get that quick bit of information. It's just a quick feed.
Like
right?
like a daily journaling almost, like of
yeah, you know what? That's why you'll
it.
see our president or our politicians, they're very, very active on there because consider it sound bites. And then people can take those sound bites and say, that's interesting. Let me learn some more. Let me dig into what this story may be about, right? They want to get that quick information in the know out there now. That's why, like Mr. Flynn said early on, that, hey, the colleges want your Twitter because that's where they're going to make the announcement that if they're signing you or you're coming in for a visit, that's quick, newsworthy information. So look at it as your newspaper or magazine highway. Now you look at Instagram, and Instagram is your story, your life story. And if you guys can start on Instagram now to look at it, and if you can start with a clean slate, that's great. If you can't, and you really want to be recruited to college to play ball, now you all have to make a decision now. Do you want to be recruited? And do you want to be recruited by a high-level school according to your skills and your academic abilities? If yes, and that's something that you're dedicating yourself to, then you may want to look at your Instagram account completely different than the way you look at it now, which is just maybe a little bit of information back and forth with your friends, taking some casual pictures. If you want to look at it with a purpose, then you want to follow a couple of these directions, all right? Or if you may want to have two.
Yeah.
Because you may want to have the one that you're just having fun with your friends and knock yourself out and have fun, and the one that you're learning how to be a little more structured in why am I putting this on there and what purpose does it have? Because Instagram, you really want to have a purpose and you want to have a storyboard to what's going on and what's happening. It wants to have a flow to it. And if you can show your story so that a coach, no, that's not the way that they're going to find out about you for the most part. Some may. There are some very savvy coaches out there that know how to navigate their way through. And there are a lot of organizations and teams like the Rebels that for baseball or all kinds of other organizations that are on Instagram that'll tag you and the coaches will see it. There's still the old-fashioned way of sending the coach the email, write it very well, put your information in there. Now, if they are interested, you want to make sure that ahead of time you put your Instagram hashtag in there. Please, coach, to find out more about me, you can see my Instagram page.
Yeah.
Now, on there is a story of, hey, who is this kid? I want to know who are they friends with? How do they communicate? How do they talk? All right, so yeah, show me a couple clips of you playing in whatever sport you're playing in. Give me that quick moment. Maybe put an update that you have a big game coming up, but do it nicely. Put a logo on it. Make it look respectable, right? And then showcase yourself with your family. They want to know, what does your family look like? Who is your family? Because if they're a college recruiter, they do want to learn about you. And if they can learn about you, they may become more interested in you over the other kid that all they know is the combine information or the stat scores, but they really can't make a personal connection to you. So Instagram, you can make that personal connection. Facebook is where you tell the long story. Okay, if you guys are even on Facebook, and if you're not, it's okay, don't worry about it. But if you're on it, that's where you tell the long story of it all. Now, here's the next one, which is the X factor that you're all going to say, okay, well, what about TikTok? All right, TikTok is yet to be determined. However, the way I see TikTok right now, if you are a performer, use it. If you're not, just let it go. It's okay. You don't have to use it for your recruiting. If you're creative in that way and you have a great personality that you want to showcase and you can do some fun things with whether it's tricks or just be goofy and funny and show your personal side with your sport and with your friends, if you can do that in a creative way, then go for it. If it's not your thing, don't push it because it's a different setup right now and you may not come off the way that you want to come off. But if personality is a key recipe to who you are, coaches love personalities. They're either going to like it or they're not. And if you have a really cool one, the coach may find that as a valuable ad, like, I really like this kid. He makes me laugh, or I really love their creativity. You can use TikTok for that purpose. So you have your 4: Twitter, informational highway; Instagram, the storyboard of your life; Facebook, where if you want to talk and communicate about something a little deeper; and TikTok, if you have a good personality and you want to showcase that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great point about just the diversity of tools that are out there. And I think looking at this, like, you have a lot of tools in your tool belt, and depending on what, I play baseball, I play tennis. I have a student right now in my social media class through Centercourt who is an actor, is a performer, and his, like, what we're talking about in terms of building out his social media profile, Stephen, that's a great, I didn't even think about really leveraging TikTok, but I mean, that's a great idea. And I think, so if you're sitting here and you're saying, well, what do I do? What's the formula? There's not really a specific formula in terms of, well, you have to do this, you have to do that. It has to be Instagram. It has to be Twitter. I think, certainly if you like whatever you have right now, whether it's you're an Instagram that you have for friends, you need to really look at those settings. And if there are things that are not intended to be a professional account, then you need to be private. And it's fine to have, as Steven says, two Instagram accounts. Mm-hmm. But starting with that blank slate can really help you be intentional. Cause, like, as we know, there's as many missteps that kids make as anything else. Right. And that's been something I've been talking to kids with. So, I mean, I think that's a good topic to spend a little time on today too. There's a lot of positive content out there that kids can post, but I think what are some of the, what you guys see in working with kids, working with athletes? I mean, what are some of the negative things? What are some of the common mistakes that kids make with social media? And obviously, like, there's some things that obviously, like, don't say this, don't say that. I think most kids are pretty good about some of those like really glaring problems, but even maybe some of the smaller things that kids make mistakes about with social media. Tony, what are some things that you see?
I think one area that's a big mistake is going with the excitement of reposting.
That's a good point.
Restoring something that is questionable. It may not be, you're not saying it,
right?
Or you're not doing it. However, it may not fall well to your brand, because if you look at each one of us as a brand, like Coach Mcgowan said earlier, talked about his family, about how he never wanted to disrespect his family's name. I remember years ago, I gave a talk and a speech about that, guys. It was all about always remember your last name. Always remember your last name, because it carries your brand image. And each and every one of us has a specific brand. Even as a youngster, like you guys may be, you carry a specific brand that you're building. It's just at the beginning stages of what that brand is. So you don't want to put something out there that is off brand of what you're trying to establish as your brand image for a college recruiter to be looking at. So always keep that in mind, that is, hey, does this go with my brand? Number one, never, ever on a recruiting or anything like that, put anything political, ever. Just, there's no purpose of it on there for you on the recruiting side. If this is an avenue for you to be seen by other people, nothing about politics. You can just leave that off the table. Nothing about your opinion. Okay, so on there, on that area, it should be very factual as to this is just what's happening, what's going on. Not so much your opinion. Save your opinion for your closed account with your friends or face-to-face if you want to give an opinion. Instagram or anything like that, especially Facebook and Twitter, are not there if you're looking for a college area of this to help with, to voice your opinion. And I think if you can think about that, where, okay, let me think about my last name. Let's not talk about politics. And my opinion doesn't really matter on this setting. I think you can help yourself out there a little bit as to not saying the wrong things or putting the wrong stuff out there. And as you said, Coach Flynn, that, obviously the no-nos of no bullying, name calling, talking about another athlete, saying something negative about an athlete or someone else on there. I think you guys all know that's a no-fly zone.
Yeah. Tony, what are some things too that you talk to your guys about?
Yeah, I think, Rob, Stephen hit on all fantastic points. The one thing that I stress to our guys, both at Del Barton and with the Rebels, is being professional. And by being professional, that means this going back to simple, English form and spelling things the correct way. If you're going to write a caption, make sure you actually put periods, make sure you use proper grammar, make sure you're spelling the words you're choosing to use properly. I think that, a lot of guys are so quick to pull the trigger where it goes by the wayside and all of a sudden their iPhone autocorrects them and it's wrong. Thing that we emphasize to our guys is be careful of on Twitter what you're following and who you're following, as well as on Instagram. Who you
liking,
let follow you. Yes, and that's something that, the perfect example is, UVA baseball recruiting is their Twitter handle. They just followed one of our freshmen who reached out to them, and we had a conversation with the staff the other day, and the coach is very transparent. He's like, I'm going to go through this player's followers on Twitter. I want to see exactly who he's following because that tells you a lot about a kid. Yep. And what I'm finding out is that a lot of these athletes want to, follow these, these people or these things because their friends are doing it. But what we tell them is your friends don't have the same opportunity you have. So let's understand that first and foremost, and kind of keep everything nice and tight. And to Stephen's perspective, don't go off brand. I think that's so valuable. And, you'd be surprised the number of college programs that will stop recruiting a young man because of a picture his friend posted him in on Instagram that was off brand. And it's tragic, but it happens across all sports.
And it's a big ask, you're talking about young, you might be sitting there and I want to be a recruited athlete. Maybe I am a recruited athlete. I'm 14 years old and, you have a bunch of adults here talking about brands and, it's a lot to, I think, to be fair to kids who are just kind of developing who they are, but that is the reality of it. So I think that, the accounts that you send to those coaches don't have to be, the Snapchat account that you send with your friends on a Saturday or whatever. Like they should be curated, thoughtful accounts. So if you don't have those, then like the reality of the recruiting laws or the recruiting guidelines or whatever you want to put them is that social media has become the Wild West. That allows college coaches a level of contact that they didn't have before. So they need social media to talk to you. So if you don't have that in a curated way, in a way that you've really are putting out there what you want to put out there, then it's going to be a problem. And I think the problem that I see with kids, at least with our football guys, is that they create an account and they don't put anything on there. Right. So it's obviously a contrived thing. And I think as much as, Stephen makes a great point about, having a brand and, but to be fair though, too, like when I was 14 years old, I don't know if I really had an idea of like what my brand was. I think those are hard things sometimes to figure out. So I think it's okay to just to be honest and think about well, what do you care about? Well, I care about my family. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Your brand that these guys are telling you can be your family and the sport that you love and your teammates. That's fine if that's what college coaches, I think to some degree, they want to see that you care about people and they want to see that you really care about the sport. So it doesn't have to be this you don't have to be like the Nike swoosh but you do have to fill it with something. It does have to look like it is you and not just this sort of blank space. So that's just one thing I would add to that. So, as you guys too, Stephen, we're coaches, we work with coaches, we talk with college coaches all the time. And just as they're going into these accounts and looking with athletes and sort of, everyone's trying to gain an edge. and just thinking about like, what are they really looking for when, you know, they are going through that Instagram account or they are going through that social media account. Like, what are they maybe looking to see, to fill it with? And then what are they looking to not see? And I'll just speak from a football, you know, point of view. Like they want to see the highlight film right off the bat, and they want to see that in the first 30 seconds of that highlight film that you show that that like pop athletic ability, you know. So there's things, I think, and this is hard sometimes to understand as a young athlete. Like, there are things that can't be coached. There are things that college coaches are looking for in terms of like, wow, that kid just hit the ball across the yard, or he, you know, showed this level of quickness or this level of athleticism. Like, if you have those pop plays, those like, wow, that separates that kid, that makes kind of everybody, you know, separates you from the crowd. I think that's something that you really want to showcase, like, right early on, at least in your football account. So I mean, that's something that jumps out to me. But, you know, I don't know what you guys have encountered with college coaches and what they're looking for or not looking for, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, it's, you know, specifically for baseball, it kind of goes with your idea of that kind of pop. The college coaches want to see quick twitch, and they want to see that you're physical. They don't need to see that you're 6'6". They don't need to see that you're 6 foot. If you're 5'6", you're 5'8", they want to make sure that you're putting some work on your body. And it's surprising that they can see that on a 30-second or even a 10-second clip.
So what is that tone when you say that, like physical? Like, what does that mean in a baseball or maybe even like, what does that mean in a, you know, if you're a tennis player, like what is that?
Yeah, it means that you've maintained your body. It means that you are truly an athlete, and that, you know, you have, you know, your God-given
I'm not just a tennis player.
I'm
not just great at lacrosse, right?
Correct. They're looking for
Yeah.
the complete athlete.
Yeah.
And biggest thing for these college coaches is that, can the athlete run? Can the athlete jump? And can the athlete showcase some power of some sort, given their size? That's what being physical.
Tone, I'm losing you a little bit.
So I think
means across the board in sports, specifically for baseball.
You might be breaking up there, Rob.
Yeah. So I'll just throw one thing out too.
Physicality we were talking about there is one of the things, guys, is important, is that, you know, the coaches are always going to, in today's age, they're going to know your scores. They're going to know your times. They're going to know your height. They're going to know your weight. They're going to know how fast you throw the ball. They're going to know how many victories you have in tennis. They're going to know all those finite points. The areas of physicality you can show is that, hey, can you be – they need to see, can you be an athlete? They want to see you, no tennis racket, no softball mitt, no football helmet, no pads, no lacrosse stick. Can you move? And let me see you work. So if there's an opportunity for you to show yourself training and working hard, so they can see, hey, how does this kid move? Because if you think about any coach, guys, this is like one of those little inside tidbits about a coach. Every coach, the main aspect of being a coach is that I want to help somebody become better, right? So the main part of being a coach is that I want to make them better, right? So I want to be a part of that growth for that.
Yeah, athlete. I want that raw talent.
Just show them that they've got something to work with. So a coach wants to see, oh, wow, so that kid did this in lacrosse, and, man, I think I can make him even better than that. Or, wow, she can really hit the ball in tennis, but you know what? If she comes here, you know what? I can teach her how to, you know, to work on that forehand a little more. I can teach her to, you know, to be up higher in her backhand swing and come through more. Yeah. I can teach all that, because a great college coach, that's what they're there for. They're there to teach, right? So they want to know, what kind of raw talent does this kid have? You know, and can they communicate? You know, can I talk to them? Do I like their personality? Because also, guys, remember, a college coach in pretty much every sport, really, I mean, they're filling a team. So one athlete may have a skill set, and I want you guys to remember this as young people. I know this might be sometimes hard to figure out and get, but a coach has to win. And in order to win, they have to have a great team. So in order to have that great team, it takes certain types of athletes to make that great team. Just because you're a superstar athlete or you have these great skill sets, it doesn't mean that a coach won't pass that one kid by and come get you, because you meet a certain other criteria that they have. They may have their rock star, superstar already, right? But they need someone to complement that rock star. So you might have that value that the coach says, you know what? I just recruited that kid that was ranked 20th in the country. And you know what? That's their personality. I need someone else to counter them. And it doesn't matter. They could be ranked 150 in the country. But guess what? You may still get that full ride or that half ride over someone else that's ranked 50 in the country. And someone says, I don't understand. How did they get the scholarship? Because coaches look for all different things. It's not just, they don't just go through the list and say, I'm going to choose the top 10 ranked people. And those are people I want.
It really isn't that simple, right? It's great. You know, so like a couple things too, that quick stories that I've heard about recruiting that you may want to, that are very easy, like videos to include, that may surprise you. One, we had a football athlete that was recruited to be a lineman at Northwestern. The offensive line coach came down and they saw him stretch and they saw his flexibility, and he offered. He didn't even need to have him move. They just wanted to see that he could bend, because they knew he was 6'5", he was all these things. He had all the measurables that Steven's talking about. Offered, number one. Number two, if you can dunk a basketball. If you can dunk a basketball and you are also a great tennis player or also something like that, is to me as a coach a measure of athletic ability that is like transcendent. My dad, you know, was coach football long. He would always have the recruits come and play basketball, because it's a great, even though they were football recruits, that was something that, you know, just displayed something that you didn't necessarily see on the football tape. And then this, you know, another example from a kid is that we had a kid who was a 3-sport athlete, ended up going Division I in wrestling. And the reason why he was recruited, he wasn't that great as a wrestler, but because he was a 3-sport athlete, those wrestling coaches, to Steven's point, said, well, I can make him a great wrestler. I know he's a great athlete. He's you know, was almost an all-state player in football. He was a really, you know, so it isn't like, well, I'm this in this sport. It's showing those other things that translate, and, you know, maybe think about some other things that you can fill that with. Tony, I know you're breaking up before, but I wanted to, you know, give you a chance to finish too.
Yeah. Can you hear me now, Rob?
You got it.
Great. You know, going off of your point, it's also 2-sport athletes, right? It's like you said, we're very lucky at Del Barton, part of the Rebels program, and I'm sure he's on this call here. We have a young man by the name of Robbie Russo, who is a tremendous athlete, and one of his whole things is put your football videos up there on the baseball account.
Yeah.
Put your baseball videos on your football account, because these schools are going to recruit you because you are an overall athlete. You can throw the ball, I guess, you know, maybe 80 yards. I don't know how far he could throw it for you, Rob. But I know he can hit the
D-line coach, man. You know, the quarterbacks are above my pay grade, but
Your pay grade there, huh?
You're right.
But I know he can hit the baseball 400 feet, you know, and I know that he could run, and I know he could throw the ball 85 across the diamond. So a college coach, as Steven, you say, they need to win. They want to win. They want an athlete like him who could play 2 sports at the highest level possible in high school. Because imagine what happens if a college coach gets them for 1 sport for the whole year. Now they're talking. That's what they want to see. They want to see athleticism. And that was the point I was trying to get across before my internet.
No, that's great.
And Tony, it's a great point there, because now what you guys have, you know, you guys on this phone call, you have something that wasn't there before. You have the opportunity to actually show people those skills that sometimes a coach just doesn't have the bandwidth, the capacity to go see a basketball game or go see your football game or go see your wrestling match or, you know, your other sports. Now you guys have the ability to showcase that stuff out there, and the coach never has to leave. You know, that's a great, you know, that's a great tool for a coach. is to be able to see that I really like how this kid operates. And I want to talk about one, because I like giving examples, because I know it's easy sometimes if you guys can see things. And I've got a couple athletes that I've, highlighted that I really respect what they do on their accounts. And they're for certain reasons. And yes, they're all very great at what they do, but there's a lot of great people at the individual sports, but they do something extra. A lot of it comes from their personality, which helps fuel the reason why they're so interesting. And if all goes well and they do the right thing, they're just going to be interesting athletes throughout. So let's start with baseball. If you don't follow him yet, I suggest you follow him, because he's probably going to be a first-round type draft pick, is Nazier Muley, all right? So if you guys don't know who he is, top-level baseball kid, but beyond that, yeah, he's an absolute beast, okay? No doubt about that. Throws 90-something miles an hour, and he's only a sophomore. You baseball players, you guys all know him, okay? But what is most interesting, and if I'm a college coach, and he may never step foot on the college, but if I'm a college coach, I'm going for him. One of the key things, interesting things about him, look what he's done right now with coronavirus and how he's spoken about, been outspoken as a sophomore, guys. So what age is that, 15? Okay, he's outspoken about his city of Patterson and how deeply they've been hit by coronavirus. And he's done a whole series of posts dedicating back to his city, showcasing that, hey, let's talk about when we won the 12-year-olds for Patterson, right? To give people something to cheer about, right? That shows something really special about a young man. And if I'm a coach, I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's someone I can build a program over. I like what he's doing there. And he showcases his attitude. Yes, sometimes he can be a little showy, but he can back it up. So he can knock himself out and showcase himself all he wants, because he can back it up. But that's part of his personality. So if you're a coach, you see that, but then you also see him talk about his friends. He talks about his family. He compliments his coaches all the time. He's always tagging his coaches in there, giving his coaches love. He gives his baseball performance center. He gives them love. Really pretty cool, okay? So check what he does out. Check out the wrestler, Marc Anthony Mcgowan. All right, he's up at Blair Academy. He's from Florida. All right, he's only a freshman. Check out his stuff. Yes, he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the country. I think he's at 10. He's a little guy. He's at 103 or something. I forget, 113. But what you see is that he really showcases all the places he's gone and traveled. And it's pretty cool to see a young kid, 13, 14 years old, to realize that he went over and competed over in Europe, and he's always got a smile on his face, and he's shown himself in victory. He's showing that he's got such a great positive attitude. I'm looking at it, if I was a college coach, I'm looking and saying, hey, that kid's pretty positive, man. That kid wants to win. I want that kind of kid on my program. And he lets you follow him, right? In gymnastics, Kayla DiCello, okay? It's Kayla Dicello. You go follow her, incredible young gymnast, all right? Probably will be on the 2021 Olympic team coming up. Okay, I think she's about 16 years old, give or take. All right, what she does is she showcases all the cool people that she's around. All right, she's always around like Simone Biles, and she's not quite at that level, but she's almost there. So she's showcasing her life around that. And she's always smiling, always around friends, showing that, hey, I've got a lot of people that like me. I'm a likable young woman. So look at all the relationships I have. Okay, really interesting. Last one is tennis player, Whitney Oswego. She's out of IMG, all right? Some of you tennis players, I'm sure you know who Whitney is. I probably butchered her last name, but you guys all know who she is. Amazing, amazing young tennis player. But she's got a pretty cool lifestyle. And she showcases that lifestyle. Now, Whitney's probably not going to play in college, okay? However, if you're a college recruiter, to showcase that, to see like, wow, she's got a very interesting lifestyle. And now for her, that's all sponsor related. So now if I'm a sponsor looking at her and saying, hey, that's the kind of young woman I might be able to get my brand around. Wow, she's got some really cool things about her. All right, so those are just couple examples that you can kind of get an eye on. And each of you have your own personality. So you can never do what someone else does. You need to follow, like we talked about before, what that your personal brand is. what you feel comfortable doing. If you're someone that you're deep into the books and school is a major, part of your life, and you're looking at the type of schools, then you should probably showcase a little bit of that. Showcase your studies, you can make it funny, you can make it interesting, but you can also showcase, how much you value science. If you're a science person, showcase yourself doing the stuff that you also love, to show that, hey, I love my game of lacrosse, but I also love science, and it's a big part of my life. Or I play an instrument. If you play an instrument and you play it well, you better darn well circulate that and let people know, right? That's a great ad. If I'm a coach and if you play music, I know you have rhythm, and rhythm is important about all aspects of sports. If you can feel that rhythm on a court, you can feel that cadence, you can follow that, that also adds to the ability of an athlete. A lot of the great athletes, don't be shocked that they can play the piano. People always like, oh my goodness, that athlete can play the guitar? They can play the piano? I don't know why people are so shocked, right? Because it's a very common trait that you can have rhythm to the way you hear things and move things, and that's how you react on the court. Don't be shocked that some of these great athletes are, can also be amazing musicians and carry a note or a dance or anything like that. So if you have those skill sets, that shows a coach as well that, hey, this kid is multi-talented.
It's awesome. I'm also just going to drop in. I try to just put a couple posts in there following some of the people that Steven mentioned. And I just would add this kid, KJ Miles, who plays football at St. Peter's, who I just think is a great example. I've used him in some of my webinars as well. As 4-star, offers from everywhere, but just comes across, I think, as a team first kind of kid if you look through some of his stuff. So I want to respect everybody's time. I know, people have a lot going on, so I wanted to just kind of hold and open it up for Q&A. So if you guys have specific questions, you can just drop them into the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and just ask, we'd be happy to just hit anything that people specifically want to talk about. So
I think I want to mention here, Rob, that one of the things that we're finding right now is that the next wave of opportunities for people and opportunities on social media and showcasing yourselves has been in female sports. And let me just read you this list here real quick. And this is college, so it's a little beyond where you guys are at, but it's where you want to be, right? It's knowing what's in front of you. I kind of get this crazy information. It's not something that's just always out and about that people find, but there's numbers here, the most valuable college athletes. Okay, now valuable college athletes, okay? The value is based upon their social media presence. Okay, now, the top athlete, number one, is Cole Anthony, basketball player, University of North Carolina. Okay, big-time basketball player. The second one, Madison Kachian, UCLA gymnastics. Okay, and they put a value number next to what kind of brand value have they created because of their strong social media presence. Not much of a difference here. So you think Cole Anthony, big shot player from University of North Carolina. Okay, his endorsement potential based upon his social media tag is $476,000, the way it sits right now. Madison Kachian, $466,000. She's a gymnast at University of North Carolina. Why? Because her social media presence is incredible. Okay, social media has shot women's gymnastics into the stratosphere. Why? Who doesn't want to watch a bunch of really super athletic, super fun, exciting college women doing gymnastics, all right, and their lifestyle? It's very entertaining. Number three, you have another men's basketball player. And then you have Trevor Lawrence from football. Number 5, Erica Fontaine, West Virginia gymnastics. West Virginia gymnastics. She's not an Olympian. She's really good on social media. She's done an intelligent job. And then right after her, okay, is Jake Fromm from Georgia, the quarterback, who was on QB1, big-time headlines, okay? Right after her, all right? And then right after him, Kyla Ross, UCLA, women's gymnastics, okay? And then coming up in 9th place, Sabrina Ionescu, women's basketball from University of Oregon. And right after her, Jaden Owens, UCLA, women's basketball. $225,000 value based upon her social media presence. Okay. Now, it's not about money, but it's about the fact that they've established a brand for themselves. And this is one thing why sports is so great to do, and why, if you have an opportunity, what it helps you create, it helps you create opportunities for later. So you think about some of the people like Cole Anthony. Yes, he's going to sign a multi-million-dollar basketball contract. Okay. Madison Cawthon, Madison's done. Okay. She went to the Olympic Games. She's going to graduate UCLA University, and now she's done. But guess what, guys? She's created a brand for herself that's a stepping stool for the next part of her career. Okay. So these are opportunities that you have to help create, every step of the way. What you do now leads to tomorrow. Tomorrow leads to the next day, leads to the next day. And you keep building that up over the course of time. And you can do that on social media. Not to mention, guys, if you do it right, you can meet so many incredible people that are your peers that can motivate you, right? If you communicate in a proactive way on social media, you'll be able to communicate with some of your peers at the top of their game, and you can start chatting. And you guys know that because you do it all the time. But now if you have a good presence, that individual is going to look back at you and say, hey, yeah, I like her. I'll follow her back and let's talk. And now you have a like-minded individual that you can share experiences with. And I would hope that you guys are on here as all high performers. You want to surround yourself with great people. So reach out for those other great people. Find them out there. Communicate with them. And then what that also does with the coaches, and guess what? A coach will start seeing that, hey, wait a minute. Those two people are communicating. I kind of like both of those recruits. And they start realizing that you guys have a relationship. That's a great additive for a coach. That, hey, I can bring two people in that have a very good relationship. They already get along. That's another great addition for a coach. And you can do that on your social media channels.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm going to just drop a link too in the chat about just that we have a program where we work specifically with kids on crafting a social media presence. So if that's useful to you, it's not too late to sign up. It runs on Thursday nights. I run it, so I'd be happy to involve anybody that's interested, whether they're on the call or not. But are there any you guys have any questions, any concerns, anything you guys would like us to cover in any more detail? We'll just pause here and give you a chance.
Rob, I got one question, and it's kind of piggybacking off what Stephen was saying earlier about how to exposing yourself on social media to other talents or other interests you may have. And I was on Tony's recruiting class earlier today, and we were talking about how when you talk about recruiting, it's starting with the school first and what maybe your academic interests are and different things. And so I guess when you talk about recruiting, our college coaches, do they take into consideration? I assume they do that. Maybe I want them as a tennis player, basketball player, baseball player, lacrosse player, whatever. But are they going to succeed at this university? Are they going to mesh well with the atmosphere? Are they going to do well academically? Is this a good fit for them, or am I wasting my time trying to recruit them? How much does that play into like a college coach's decision to even reach out initially? And is that something that social media can either help with or kind of guide those coaches in one way or another?
Yeah, it's a great question. Tone, you want to just elaborate on some of that?
Yeah, so I think that's why it's important for an athlete to locate his or her high school in the bio. And that's something that at Del Barton, when we talk to our athletes about it, that's the first thing that should be in their bio, whether it's Twitter or Instagram. And I think that there's something we said. Stephen talked about kind of your personal journey. On Facebook, a lot of our athletes don't use Facebook anymore, but there's nothing with, posting your Del Barton school highlights or posting your high school athletes highlights. As a club coach, we're doing that. I think that getting to your brand of high school is important as well. Because if you go to a great high school that a college coach has recruited from before, he or she will be more, at an advantage to recruit you than someone else from high school that he or she has not heard of.
Yeah,
So I think that's a quick fix right there in the bio.
I think that there are definitely red flags that could occur totally trying to omit the high school coach from the recruiting process. Like if I'm looking at an athlete and their high school experience, whether it's soccer, whether in their high school deal is not a part of their now, I think some sports are different, obviously. And some kids, if you don't even compete for your high school team, I think it's a little bit different. But in most sports, if it's all about your club team, I think that would be a concern, for me. So just again, different for different kids, but just something to think about, kind of jumping off Tony's point. Other questions that people have.
Yeah, if I can say, Rob, real quick,
Please.
that it is really important, guys. The link in bio, right? So if on your Instagram account, for your link in bio, you can create that easy, basic website for yourself, the couple pages, and no one's asking you to be a UX UI master, right? At creating websites, nobody's going to look at that. Just get something as basic gets. And there's so many apps for you to do it. And that's where you can put your longer reel videos, tell your story, write something about me. Who are you? My name is Steven Bianco. I live here, blah, 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 blah. And you can write about yourself, write about what you like, things that you may want the coach to see. You can post your grades if you want to put them on there. Post how you're doing in school. Put about the extracurricular activities that you participate in. If there are links, if you do certain service groups that you're a part of. If you're part of a great church, you're part of this, put the links in there hey, this is what I'm a part of. This is who my community is. And you kind of make your rap sheet, and that's your link in bio, right? And you can be creative with it and just don't get too crazy. Remember, coaches only have a certain amount of time to look, right? So make it very easy to see a collection of pictures. This is my family. This is my mom, dad, sister, brother. Showcase it, right? And, do the videos. This is me game one. This is me 3 years ago. This is me now. This is me practicing my tennis swing with my coach. This is me working out. This is me playing field hockey. All those different areas, you can showcase that. And then the links in the bio. So if they're really interested, you just help them go what we call they start falling down that hill. All right. And they just start going deeper and deeper and deeper because you keep giving them more information. The deeper they can go, the more interested they're going to be, probably going to be about you. If you've done it right, they've already know, okay, this kid's got the skills. Now I'm learning so much about them. I really like this kid. And remember, coaches are people. They're moms, they're dads, they're aunts, they're uncles, they're children of other parents. They're people. They have emotions. Okay, even Nick Saban has emotions. Okay, even coaches like that, those people, they are emotional. So if they see you and they like something about you and your story, that's also the kind of person that you want to be recruited by. Because if they like your story, then that's probably the kind of person that you want to be around, right? Not someone of the opposite. So you want to place yourself with the kind of coaches that want you around or feel that this kid's going to do well in this program. So that's another suggestion is fill up that link in bio. Make sure you're at your school. If your school has a certain page for your particular sport, put that in there. If you're part of a private club team, put that in there. If you're a specialized coach, if you have a specialized coach and they have their own page, put that there as well. That way a coach can look up and say, oh, that's their trainer. Okay, oh, they train at Annex Sports. Oh, they train at Centercourt. Oh, they train at Parisi. Oh, they train here. Whatever you guys do, that they can go and say, okay, you know what? Maybe I can call that person and ask. Hey, Coach so-and-so, I see you train the young lady in lacrosse. I'd like to ask a question about her. How is she during her workouts? If a coach, and today it is that easy. You can send a quick DM to that training facility or to that specialized coach and ask that quick question about the kid. I do it all the time with employees. Do it constantly. Right? I'm constantly going to look back and I'm going to DM somebody. Hey, do you know this person? Yeah, I know them. Hey, what do you think about them? Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Move on. It's that quick and it's that easy. It makes people feel really good. So if you give them the opportunity to go down a rabbit hole and learn more about you, and you have a lot to tell, put that stuff in your bio.
That's great. I actually, one of the things we're working with kids with in this class is developing a LinkedIn page, even as even a high school. So that might be a good, just linking your LinkedIn page. Some people use the about.me, but putting that in the bio and sort of, you can build that out as you go as a little bit kind of a working resume. There's a good question here, and Tony, this might be a good one for you to take just off the bat, about recruiting services. And, I know there's a big business, big industry. I think they offer some social media elements to them sometimes, but thoughts about the effectiveness on them and at least in your sport.
Yes. It's pretty easy for us at Centercourt. We use sports recruits across the board with all sports, and I'm going to put the link in the group chat so everyone has that. Sports recruits actually has done a fantastic job of connecting their athletes who have profiles to their Twitter handles. It's actually one of the first questions after you complete your initial profile. Bottom, it says, what is your Twitter handle? And you have an opportunity there, and it begs the question, should I actually go ahead and create a Twitter handle? Because all of a sudden now my sports recruits, where I'm uploading all this constant information and stats and videos directly to my Twitter handle and vice versa. So when UVA recruiting looks at my Twitter handle, they get connected right to my sports recruits account. It's a fantastic tool. It is, it's not a money grab like the other ones are. And they do a fantastic job across all sports, and they really truly have all sports. So that's something all of our athletes use at Centercourt.
That's a great point. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think there's so many services out there that having one that you feel like is trustworthy, that is multi-sport, I think is really useful. Are there, we're running out of time a little bit. Are there other questions that that people have that you like to? So, George, at what age or grade should an athlete start with this type of recruiting service? So, and I'll just speak to the social media part of it. So, it is illegal to start a social media account before you're 13. So when we talk to our kids, I mean, that's an appropriate, like, from that time when you're going into 8th grade to going into your freshman year, that's a time, depending on, again, what sport you play, but that's an appropriate time to start thinking about this stuff. And then as you get into high school, to really think about kind of the LinkedIn page and sort of the more curated, more professional accounts. But in terms of the recruiting service, Tone, is there a good thought about, like, when that's appropriate for kids to start paying for or using?
Yeah, the rule of thumb within our organization is that we won't even create a profile for a kid before he steps foot on a high school campus. There's something to be said for playing a high school game. I think we're different than other clubs, but we take pride in our high school programs first and foremost. So we want to make sure that the young woman can perform before we even start a recruiting process. But I think that finishing up at your freshman year is the opportunity to begin.
Yeah, weird echo here. Sorry. Oh, let me tone you in here twice here. Let me see if I can mute you. Cool. You got it. Awesome. Anything else? Everybody, this has been great. People have been on. Appreciate everybody's time. Anything else that we can cover? I'll put my social media stuff as my Twitter, and you can feel free to reach out to me as well. Matt and Tara, anything you guys would like to just shout out to everybody before we close?
I'd like to say if anybody is, or if any of the athletes on tonight, if you want to share your profile with me, I'll do an analysis of it. If you want to do that, feel free. Any parents out there, if you want to, send me your child's profiles and just to kind of check out what you may have done or what's currently there, I'd love to look through it and audit it and just kind of give you some tidbits on however to maybe what to dress it up or reorganize it or give it a attaboy, whatever might be appropriate for it. But feel free to send that over, and I'd love to check it out. No problem at all. Love doing it. So if there's anything that we can do to help put that in motion to help you guys out, we're here for that.
That's great. Tony, anything to just end with for everybody?
Yeah, no, thank you everyone for joining. I apologize for my audio issues. I don't know what's going on. Kind of amateur on my end, but at the end of the day, you want to be a human being and you want to make sure that you take some enjoyment during this process of being able to create a social media platform. It's so important, and just don't. You're still all young, and you should have fun with it. You should have fun with it, but you should take pride in it. So enjoy it. Obviously, reach out with any questions. I'm going to put my email address in the group chat as well, so that you guys can reach out with any questions about recruiting or about social media in terms of recruiting.
We had a question. So Stephen offered to audit some of the profiles. So yeah, awesome. Thanks, Steve. Great. All right, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited. I think this is the kind of thing that we're excited to offer. So look for more stuff. Especially from Stephen and Tony and myself. Like I said, I'm running a social media class that's working really specifically on some of these granular issues with kids. It runs on Thursdays. So, it's great having everybody, and have a great night. All right. Thank you, everybody.